And we are back on The Rodriguez Show, and we have our final guest. He's returning with the new single, The Blacks. His name is Kenan Bell, and he's on FaceTime right now. How's it going, man?
Doing well, my brother. What's good? How are you?
Good, hanging out in the studio here. We're excited. I'm excited about because I have a lot of stuff has happened since you were here. Last time you were here was in February, and you dropped the Cellular Theory EP, which is great. Ghetto Child, which you performed on this show, it's one of my favorite tracks of the year.
Oh, thank you, fam. It means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the last in-studio performances we had before the quarantine. It was you and Melting on drums and Mondo scratch, and it was really good.
Oh, man, that seems like a lifetime ago, to be honest. But
definitely.
I'm glad we got that in before everything kind of slowed to a halt, for sure.
Yeah. So you have a new single. It's called The Blacks, and it's you produced it and you wrote it, and it's mixed by Melting. We'll get to that. Sure. We'll talk about that. But okay. How has the quarantine? How has it affected you since this 6 months?
Man, it's been a difficult time for pretty much everyone, right? In different ways. A lot of time spent at the house, working from home. Had just recently started the candle business that kind of has pushed itself to the forefront, just because we're having more time to develop the product and kind of reach out to different outlets and whatnot. So. Yeah. I guess the negative, not being able to visit family, and I haven't hugged my mom and my grandma in months.
Yeah.
Nana's trying to cross those lines, and she's trying to break those rules, but I'm trying to be very firm about that. But we've been able to be creative. So just the house, man. Trying to do as much art as we can, trying to build the businesses, work on new music, but it's been a challenge with so much going on, so much negativity, essentially. Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah, it's tough because it's like one thing, you want to stay safe, and then my mom's the same way. She's trying to give me a hug, and I'm like, Mom, we can't. She's like, let's go to dinner. I was like, we can't go. You can't do this stuff right now.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's funny. Wow. Something I was really listening to the interview we did in February, and you said something about how you don't plan because tomorrow is never promised. And I feel like 2020 has been an entire year of that lesson every day, every week.
Dang. That's true.
How has the creative process changed for you since this?
Well, it's definitely limited like my outlets. I had just kind of kicked off a monthly residency DJing over here in Silver Lake or Los Feliz at the Friend Bar. So that was one creative outlet that was halted, I guess, for the season. They had to shut down, and I was really enjoying developing that portion of my skill set, I guess. So that was one thing that was kind of cut off. Had to transition to more of the IG live, but from now it's just I've been writing more. I mean, I hadn't been able to get in the studio for a while, so that was another thing. It's like my home studio is limited. I can do my beats at home, but I don't really have the vocal capacity. So I lean on Mello, and he's been a vital resource for me. And but even we had to take some time, obviously, and stay safe and stay at home. But been able to return a little bit back to working with him, so it's kind of fluctuated. But there was a season there where I couldn't really do much but paint and make beats, really. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, there was a time where everything, right at the beginning in Friday the 13th in March, was when everything kind of slowed down. We were inside for a while.
Yeah, the irony.
Yeah.
Yes,
now it's September, and we talked about it in the first time you were here. You're an educator, you're a teacher. And thank you, by the way. Thank you for being a teacher and still,
Oh, word.
Just that's something that we got to emphasize, man. We need people that are educators in the world.
I appreciate that, man.
We talked about this over text, but how has it been the new way of teaching online?
Wow. I mean, these kids were ready for it. Obviously, this is the most technologically savvy and advanced generation ever, right? So they were prepared for the idea of virtual learning, but for me as a Montessori teacher, so much of my lessons are in the classroom. They're in person, and they're not just related to the subject matter. So I'm having to work out their social interactions, right, and kind of guide them in ways to navigate, society's the gauntlet of the business world, essentially, but the social world as it is for them on the playground, and there isn't that. So. I feel like I'm only able to do a portion of my job now, even though I can emphasize the academics. That social element is such an important element for that age. So it's really changed everything. You know, we've adapted, developed new curriculum. A lot of resources have been made available for us, so we're thankful for that. But for the students, it's just that they're learning early, you know, that life is, I guess, as I mentioned in that interview, you know, it's always changing. You have to be flexible, you know. The rigidity that you expect or the routine that you expect is always changing, you know. So I don't know. They'll adapt. They'll adapt, but it's tough for the teachers for sure.
Yeah, I heard a comedian, like you said, you mentioned the social aspect. I was listening to an interview with this comedian, and she was saying that her son, he said, "Mom, I'm tired of the mirror. I want other kids." And it's like, fuck, you know, like, what do you do at that point, you know?
It's crazy. I heard something. Who was it? Maybe Chrissy Teigen. She happened to cross my Twitter feed at some point. She was talking about some parakeets she bought for her kids. And I guess one of the things about these birds, they put mirrors in their cages. But if these birds see Kate, if they see themselves in the mirror, they think it's another bird. So either they try to interact with this bird, but there's not a bird. So the way that it messes with the psychology of these parakeets in that setting, it forces them to either kill themselves or have some really traumatic experiences as a result of this reflection. And it kind of, I was even thinking earlier, like, we're spending now so much more time, whether it's with the selfies or just, you know, like enamored with our set, like, how will this, you know, what will be the long lasting effect? So hopefully it's not long term, you know, but it was interesting, just like the parallels between that strange story.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we at a certain point, like, whether birds or humans, we all need other people around us.
Man, it's true. It's too real.
So another thing I wanted to ask about you being a teacher and educator, you know, it's something this year that's coming up, even though, you know, it's been part of the system since the beginning, is the fact that we sometimes are taught history a different way than it actually is, or we're not given the whole picture. And you as a history teacher, have you ever had that happen where you had issues with, like, hey, we need to teach it this way, or we want you to teach it a certain way?
Definitely. I mean, I'm thankful that, you know, administration at my school allows me some leniency with the curriculum. Obviously, they trust me with that responsibility, and the parents do as well. But, you know, I've had students come across different textbooks that were maybe from the past that had, you know, stars and bars, flags representing the different states, you know, and discussing the Civil War, and a student who had just recently become aware of that symbol as it has been used more currently, you know, kind of to reinforce that ideology of suppression and oppression of certain demographics, you know. I mean, she happened to be, you know, a mixed race. So, you know, her father's from Louisiana, a black man. So I had to have a discussion with her about what that symbol means and about how it is used today. But it was interesting because I also had to kind of remove that text, or that there were some history cards. I want to discuss it, but the fact that this curriculum was outdated, meaning that it's from the 50s or 60s, some of these, you know, and the authors are definitely trying to skew a perspective. So I'm thankful that I can kind of intercede in those settings and give perspective to the lessons, but provide some context as well. You know, so and parents are thankful for that. So not every teacher has that freedom, and not every student is really like looking for those answers either. So it's a tough situation.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the person, like you said. It depends on the person, how the person teaching it and how they put it in the context. Well, thank you for being a teacher that puts stuff into context.
Man. No, it's my pleasure, man. I'm thankful for that platform. Truly, truly.
Something before we move. Well, actually, let's move on to the new single. It's called "The Blacks." Of course, the themes of this aren't new. You know, this people of darker skin have suffered everywhere since the beginning. But was this song written as a reaction to the more recent events, or has this, you know, been something you've been planning for a while?
I think in some degree, yes. You know, the story was always being written. You know, it's kind of like people have reached out and asked, you know, how I felt about current, you know, situations or injustices, and you know, it's like a common response. Like, I've been black my whole life, you know, so I saw this wave, you know, from being a very adorable, if you will, you know, black boy that was not a threat, to then being a young black man where I've now been perceived in a totally, completely different way. So, you know, having that insight, I guess, it's something that I can reflect on in my music, and I always have, but the times definitely encouraged it. And for a moment there, it almost was like too close to home. It's like if the joke is like too soon or something. Because I think that the track came to me just working on a DJ set and coming across this sample, Joe Sample, one of, a jazz musician who I respect. And Black is the color of my true love's hair is the name of the track. So the song was written before I even started to touch it or, conceptualize it, whether through my experience or just through the energy, like in the record. The record's kind of already about that. So I just leaned on that, wrote some ideas out, and actually had a conversation with, interestingly enough, my father, who had commented to me maybe that I wasn't as black as one of my white friends. And that's kind of like a common trope in certain societies where, you represent a demographic and you're in a community, but maybe certain differences seem to put you on the outside or pose some sort of distance between you and like the core demographic, or people try to make there to be some distance.
A difference, like it's like colorism.
So straight up, that's exactly what it was. So that, in a nutshell, encouraged me to continue the song. But yeah, after Breonna Taylor was murdered, I was working on the beat and was writing some of the lyrics and was kind of like, I don't know if I can do this. And then some of the other events that just continued to transpire pretty much provoked me to just see it through. And I'm glad I did, so yeah.
It's dropping today. If you're listening to this, we recorded this earlier, but today it's airing Friday the 4th. It's available now. And I was lucky enough to hear it before. I really like the track, man. It's really cool.
I appreciate you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for coming to the show and promoting it. And we're gonna we're gonna do a DJ set and everything, but I do have a couple questions left. The collage style Instagram that you do, and I really like it. That's all you, right?
Yes, I mean, all the designs are me. There was an app that my director buddy, Anthony Sylvester, who does all my visuals, he put me on to, because we were kind of trying to see how to release the high visuals in a cool way. So that kind of created that grid art, and I think he was inspired by the collage work I was doing. So yeah, but I all those collages are hand cut. I do all that in my crib. So that's me.
Dope. Yeah, and then sometimes you actually sell some of the artwork that you make, some of the collages too, right, on your Instagram?
Definitely, yeah. Mello's one of my clients. I have a couple other friends, some pieces in some of my lawyer friends' homes, centerpiece, nice, cool displays in their homes. So it's a cool feeling that people, obviously supporting the artist, but it's fun because these ideas kind of just come to me and seeing them through and seeing other people connect with them. It's a fun reward, I guess, in it all.
So yeah, follow him on Instagram at Kenan's Room. We'll post link like we always do. And then Stay Fresh by Kenan Bell at Stay Fresh by KB, collection of natural soy wax candles, and they come in recycled glass. They're great. You gave me one last time, and it smells really good. And there you go. You can see it on the video.
And see, this is the next one. I didn't even put the label because we don't want to. It's not going to drop yet. But next week we have a new scent that's premiering.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we're just trying to grow that brand. We've been fortunate to have a couple stores that have put it in their inventory, sold out within a few weeks. So about to hit our 100th sale on Etsy. So if somebody wants to purchase one, hit the Etsy and we'll give you a special gift. So
nice.
Appreciate the plug though, family.
Yeah. We'll post a link to the Etsy store too. So one of the things that came from the quarantine was you doing DJ sets on your Instagram. And it's really cool because you plan out not just the sounds, but the way it looks. Like you have a fisheye lens. It looks really cool. And you're actually you're gonna do one of those DJ sets on the show. You're gonna send us one, right?
Definitely, yeah. I was trying to work it out last night, do a little practice. I tried to give a sneak peek to the folks on the IG and didn't have it hooked up right. But I'm gonna do just like kind of an underground hip hop mix. Just some of the either LA or West Coast or just independent hip hop artists from maybe 90s, 2000. They might still be popping, but definitely the folks that set the precedent for the music that I do, and even a lot of the current music today that folks may not be tapped into. So I'm gonna put something together special for y'all, no doubt.
All right, so we're gonna play that right now on the Rodriguez Show. If you're listening on the radio, you're gonna hear it. If not, if you're on podcast, we'll post a link to that as well. Thank you for calling in, man. Is there anything else you want to plug?
No, love, man. I appreciate you. Continuing to obviously support the culture, push it forward, keeping people informed with not only the music but the current events. Shout out to everybody that's involved in any of the activism currently. So many of our communities, both my community, your community, whichever you choose to represent, whether it's hip hop or your ethnicity. I think as Americans right now, it'd be hard to not be frustrated or upset no matter what demographic you represent. So just sending love, you know, and powerful, positive energy to those that are out there fighting the fight. And, you know, for everyone, I guess, that's trying to go through it, maintain, stay up, essentially. Yes, sir.
Thank you, man. It's a positive message. And follow him, like I said, at Kenan's Room. Kenan Bell, always a great guest. Listen to the new single, The Blacks. We're going to play that later on the show. But right now, we're going to get into his DJ set. Kenan Bell on The Rodriguez Show. Let's get it.